Task Force X. Your new mission is to kill the Justice League.
Hey there guys, this is Richard, your host with another marvelous video. This time, every DC project that's going to be released in 2023, along with animated and games. Fans have shown a fresh interest in DC's future as affairs at Warner Bros. Have shifted after their merger with Discovery. Warner Bros. Is overseeing a number of DC TV and film projects. In addition to the films and series of the DC Extended Universe, we have the foundations of Matt Reeves' Batverse, as well as a number of independent projects such as Joker. Meanwhile, after dropping Batgirl, Warner Bros. Appears to be moving through with The Flash's premiere next year. It's no secret that things are unpredictable in Warner Bros. DC division, so let's take a moment to reflect and look at what DC projects will be published in 2023 and then beyond. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Mother of God.
Justice League Warworld. Following the premiere of the highly anticipated Green Lantern Beware My Power film for fans attending the San Diego Comic-Con 2022, film publicist Gary Mirano discussed what fans could anticipate in the future. Before releasing more new film names, one of which was Justice League Warworld, Mirano referenced previously announced projects such as Batman and Superman, Battle of the Super Sons, as well as RWBY X Justice League. Warworld is one of the DC Universe films set for release in 2023. The film is a continuation of the DC Universe movies Tomorrowverse, which began in 2020 with Superman, Man of Tomorrow. Green Arrow and The Flash stand on Bruce Wayne's doorway in a post-credit sequence for Part 2 of The Long Halloween, alluding to the establishment of the iconic Justice League. The League's recently announced project suggests Mongul as a possible villain, as Warworld is a militarized planet-sized satellite controlled by Mongul in DC Comics. It is speculated that Superman has been imprisoned on Warworld, and the League has to be assembled in order to free him from Mongul. Many fans remark that the title is reminiscent of a less than successful episode of Tim's Justice League, but they hope that Mongul will bring something new to the table for the animated flicks. It's also thought that this will be the first actual film to include the whole Tomorrowverse Justice League. The League has been entirely established by the end of Beware My Power. Therefore, this is most likely a continuation of it, along with Batman, Earth 1, Wonder Woman, and maybe even Aquaman in tow. Fans are also hoping for some fantastic Superman content, because Mongul is one of his arch enemies.
The dragon. I love my life.
Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Actor Zachary Levi, who portrays the Big Red Cheese or Shazam, used social networking to reveal a fresh off-the-rack Shazam Fury of the Gods graphic on November the 7th. This highly anticipated Shazam sequel follows the narrative of young Billy Batson, who's turned into his older superhero alter ego, Shazam, by saying the magical word, Shazam. The trailer video appears to flesh out the backstory and expand on the heart and soul of this series while maintaining the camp and endearing goof that helped the first to flourish and be endearing and pretty much flawless. The film is directed by David F. Sandberg and written by Chris Morgan and Henry Gayden. Shazam comic stories dive deep into DC lore, incorporating many gods and mysteries in the form of old folk tales and stories of the classic ages. Sandberg appears to be attempting to achieve identical charm in his forthcoming live-action film. Our titular protagonist will be pitted against Atlas's daughters, Hespera and Calypso. The filmmaker noted that for this sequel, they aim to go higher than ever before. In the aftermath of the initial film, the filmmaker stated that we would witness the Shazam family grappling with their newfound superpowers. The movie is slated to release on March 17, 2023. Many fans considered it weird that they didn't include Superman, despite the fact that he was foreshadowed at the close of the last film and has the most resemblance to Shazam's ability set. The film is expected to carry Billy's journey ahead significantly, making light of some heroic stereotypes and actually seek to investigate the mythological aspect of DC lore more profoundly than ever before. Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham. Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham will be the 23rd cartoon Batman feature. The film is said to be based on DC Comics' 2000 episodic Elseworlds graphic book of the same name. The plot is set to center around how a parallel counterpart of the Batman character in 1920s Gotham would supposedly strive to push back a historical evil that he mistakenly unleashed in the very first place. The emergence of that creature, dubbed as the Lurker on the Threshold, culminates in the appearance of a slew of supernatural entities in Gotham. including Ra's al Ghul and Jason Blood, as well as Blood's demonic dual ego, Etrigan. Mike Mignola and Richard Pace collaborated on the original graphic novel, which was drawn by Dave Stewart, Dennis Janke, and Troy Nixey. The film is also supposed to be either a crossover involving Batman and Ruby Gloom, or a formal follow-up to the 2010 animated movie Batman Under the Red Hood. David Giuntoli will reprise his role as Batman from Batman Soul of the Dragon in 2020. Matthew Waterson is also said to be a part of this project. Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham is set to be released in the spring of 2023. The 3-issue 2000 series of the same name was part of DC Comics' alternate reality Elseworlds line, which was heavily influenced by author H.P. Lovecraft's works and included Lovecraft versions of several DC and Batman characters, and it's assumed that the film would follow suit. It's been a while since an Elseworlds comic was converted to cinema. Superman Red Sun was released in 2020, while the last one starring Batman had been Gotham by Gaslight back in 2018.
Now I need something more.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is a future superhero film based on the same-named DC Comics character. The movie is a sequel to Aquaman. Aquaman must form an uncomfortable alliance with an unusual partner to save Atlantis and the planet from irreparable destruction when an ancient force is awakened. It'll be the 15th entry in the DC Extended Universe, with a release date of December 25th, 2023. The film, directed by James Wan, will feature Aquaman, played by Jason Momoa, Princess Mera, portrayed by Amber Heard, Willem Dafoe, and other notable actors. According to reports, Pilu Asbæk has also been cast in an unspecified role. When Aquaman was released in 2018, it was an unexpected success for Warner Bros. And DC. Despite an enormous budget of between 160 and 200 million US dollars, it exceeded forecasts. It earned $1.148 billion total worldwide, which made it the best-grossing DC EU picture, the biggest-grossing movie focused on a DC character, and the 5th highest-earning film of 2018. However, according to reports, the filmmaker of Aquaman, James Wan, was met with some terrible news. Due to the sequel's ballooning expenditures, which had risen to more than $200 million, reshots had to be substantially trimmed back before release, placing additional strain on both the filmmaker and the production as a whole. Further changes to the film in its current form will cost several $1 million, which the studio is unwilling to invest. So, for the time being, while Aquaman's future after the Lost Kingdom is uncertain, fans may take solace in the fact that they'll witness Momoa as the King of Atlantis on the big screen at least once more. Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is an unreleased superhero movie based on the same-named DC Comics character. The narrative is set to center around James Reyes, a new college graduate who comes home full of hopes for his life, only to discover that his household is not exactly as he left it. As he looks for his place in the world, destiny intervenes when Jamie unintentionally acquires an ancient relic of extraterrestrial biotechnology, the Scarab. When the Scarab unexpectedly selects Jamie as its symbiotic host, he's endowed with an astounding suit of armor, capable of astonishing and surprising powers, forever altering his future as a superhero named Blue Beetle. The film will come out on August 18, 2023, as the 14th chapter in the DC Extended Universe. Aniel Manuel Soto directs the Blue Beetle film, which is based on a script by Gareth Dunnett Alcosa. Jamie Reyes, a Mexican-American teen, is played by Xolo Mariduena. Zev Foreman from Warner Bros. Will be the executive producer, while John Ricard will produce the film. Blue Beetle enthusiasts have been living in constant terror of the movie being cancelled in the aftermath of the cancellation of the complete Batgirl film. Fans may finally relax now. Blue Beetle indicates a significant alteration for Jamie Reyes' entrance to the DC universe. According to the film's release description, viewers will see a significant transformation in Jamie's lifestyle, as the protagonist will be presented in the movie as a recent graduate from college rather than a student in high school. This should be great, since it frames Jamie's narrative with a more adult tone and avoids having to witness yet another hero movie centered on a high school context.
Really thought Flasher had us, that.
Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League game. Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League will be an animated video game based on DC Comics' Suicide Squad. It'll be published in 2023 for PCs, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X by Rocksteady. In the game, Task Force X members Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, Harley Quinn, and King Shark are commanded by unit leader Amanda Waller to travel into Metropolis and murder the Man of Steel, Superman. Combat, like in the Arkham series, will play to the skills of each character of the Suicide Squad, with elements of gunplay thrown in for good measure. Kill the Justice League will let players handle the narrative alone or with up to 3 other players via co-op multiplayer. In contrast to the Arkham games, when this game was announced, fans were overjoyed that Rocksteady was returning to the DC world. With Rocksteady at the helm once again, fans may anticipate this title to excel in ways that previous DC games have not. Players should expect a game with seamless, fast-paced gameplay, an intriguing plot, and few problems. The user will be able to handle all 4 members of the Suicide Squad. Each of these heroes, or should we say anti-heroes, will have their own set of talents and weaponry to use against their opponents, and eventually the Justice League. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League really does have the ability to learn from the mistakes of previous DC games and become one of the year's most impactful titles. And anyway, what could be more exciting than fighting as villains against previous heroes turned villains in order to overcome a tough and virtually unbeatable superhero?
Are you in?
The Flash movie. The Flash's journey to the theater screens has been arduous. The superhero movie was supposed to be released in 2018, but it was delayed due to controversy, rewrites, and other issues. Paul Matchlist, the Flash editor, noted emerging innovations as one of the reasons for the project's length. Fans' excitement has finally been alleviated, as the film's ultimate release date has been set for June 16, 2023. It'll be the 13th episode in the DC Extended Universe, co-produced by the Disco Factory, Double Dream, and DC Films, and released by Warner Brothers Pictures. The film, directed by Andy Muschietti and written by Christina Hudson, Joby Harold, John Francis Daly, and Jonathan Goldstein, will feature Ezra Miller as The Flash, Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne, and Michael Keaton as Batman from Earth 89. David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick also wrote the film's sequel. However, it needs to be clarified whether the venture is still moving forward. The film is expected to follow the Flashpoint plot, in which Alan travels back in time to prevent his mother's murder. The time leap produces a timeline in which Bruce Wayne was slain, Martha Wayne then became Joker, and Thomas Wayne became a murderous Batman. While this description should provide the general audience with a broad concept of the narrative, the story is bound to be full of surprises. Fans were ecstatic on October 16, 2021, when Warner Brothers officially debuted the first trailer for the film at DC Fandom. The trailer included Ezra Miller, who portrays the eponymous figure in the iconic red suit, and a narration by Michael Keaton on traveling to any chronology, any reality. Despite the star's controversial activities, The Flash has tested incredibly well, garnering some of the most outstanding test screening ratings since the Dark Knight films by Christopher Nolan. Gotham Knights TV series. Gotham Knights, Berlanti Productions' Gotham City set newcomer, will premiere on Tuesday, March 14th at 9 p.m. Here's what we can expect from Gotham Knights. Batman is no longer alive, and Gotham City has gone up in flames now that the Dark Knight isn't there to guard it. Following Bruce Wayne's murder, his foster son, Turner Hayes, is framed, along with the children of some of Batman's enemies, including Duella, an unpredictable warrior and skilled thief born in Arkham Asylum and rejected by her dad, Harper Row, a street-smart and witty engineer who can repair anything, as well as her brother, Cullen Row, an intelligent teen who's fed up of being polite and agreeable. Turner will rely on friends, including his closest friend and powerful coder, Stephanie Brown, as well as unexpected Batman sidekick Carrie Kelly, with the GCPD and the charming and challenging Harvey Dent, a district attorney, closing in on their tail. However, our knights will soon discover that there is a greater, more sinister power at work inside Gotham City. This mismatched group of fugitives must work together to become the Gotham Knights, the city's next generation of saviors. The series was written by Natalie Abrams and executive producers James Stottero and Chad Fiveash. Other executive producers include David Madden, Greg Berlanti, Lee London Redman, Sarah Schechter, and director Danny Cannon. Gotham Knights is set to be the next comic book project from the CW shrinking library. With both Warner Brothers Discovery and the CW undergoing huge and frequently shocking programming overhauls, it's tough not to speculate what Gotham Knights' future may contain. However, there's still time to develop anticipation. Hopefully, this program has a promising future ahead of it.
We are the front lines, administering justice and preventing war.
Legion of Superheroes. Warner Brothers' animated film output has remained relatively consistent. Over a dozen films were released in the 2010s that were based on or influenced by the New 52 branch of comic books, which was later relaunched into a new collection of films. Next year's Legion of Superheroes expands on the now 5-film franchise by featuring one of DC's B-tier superhero teams, alongside Superman and Supergirl. Supergirl appears in the film, ready to battle along with her cousin, even with the potholes that arise from being a first-time superhero. Superman transports her to the future in the 31st century, in which the Legion Academy is eager to teach her the ropes of being a superhero. Seeing Brainiac 5 as a student isn't ideal for Kara Zor-El, but it's something she finally accepts if it means she won't have to level buildings while battling crime. Legion of Superheroes will be released on Blu-ray, digital, and 4K Blu-ray on February the 7th, 2023 by Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. The director of Green Lantern Beware My Power, Jeff Waymister, is behind this movie too. This film is interesting for a variety of reasons, the most important of which is that it introduces Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes in the new animation continuity established by Superman, Man of Tomorrow. Legion of Superheroes appears to be another well-animated, action-packed and enjoyable adventure in the DC universe based on the trailer. Anyone who's followed the comics or watched the company's numerous great TV shows will be acquainted with the Legion. Both Superman and Supergirl have previously battled beside the Legion of Superheroes. The Legion has appeared in a number of DC TV shows, and they also had their very own self-titled cartoon series that aired for 2 seasons in the mid-2000s.
You are Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman game. The next Wonder Woman game was unveiled at the Game Awards 2021, and publisher RWBY Games confirmed that it'll be a single-player open-world action-adventure with an original story based in the DC universe. Surprisingly, the Wonder Woman video game will be different from the movie and comics. However, it'll contain a similar basis in that it'll let us play Diana of Themyscira in the struggle to unify her Amazon family and modern-day mankind. It's widely assumed that Monolith Productions' forthcoming adventure will let you create your own variation of the plot. The Wonder Woman video game trailer is more sound than film, although it has some hints. In the teaser, Diana's mother, Hippolyta, tells her daughter that a great danger has arrived on the coasts of her nation and has summoned her. Based on this, we may deduce that during the time period of the game, Wonder Woman is not in her secluded home island Themyscira and is living in mainstream society outside her Amazonian family. Diana appears to have been performing superhuman feats in the real world, and her abilities are required to assist her mother and sisters back home. So far, the studio has merely teased aspects of the narrative, but we do know that it'll be a unique story placed in the DC universe or a component of the more extensive Arkhamverse, in which many Warner Brothers games are situated. In terms of gameplay, Monolith has stated that it is working on a third-person action-adventure game, which is precisely what we'd expect from a Wonder Woman game. The Nemesis system element in Monolith will allow players to impact the game's storyline in novel ways. Based on the behaviors of the players, the enemies will change and develop. How this method will be employed in Wonder Woman is still being determined. Nevertheless, it certainly adds to the intrigue. My Adventures with Superman. My Adventures with Superman is a forthcoming Superman series. The series has no set release date, although it will air on HBO Max and Cartoon Network in the United States. The show, which stars Jack Quaid as the titular hero, has allegedly received a 2-season order. The story follows Clark as he develops his secret Superman persona and accepts his destiny as Metropolis's and maybe the world's hero. Lois, now maturing into a famous investigative journalist, takes young photojournalist Jimmy Olsen under her wing. While this is going on, Clark and Lois are madly in love, having adventures, bringing down evil men, finding secrets, and learning what it takes to be Lois Lane and Superman. Surprisingly, the graphic style will be inspired by Japanese anime, much like the first Teen Titans series. Warner Brothers Animation is in charge of producing this animated TV show. The executive producer is Sam Register, and co-executive producers Jake Wyatt and Brandon Clofer are also on board, as is co-producer Josie Campbell. My Adventures with Superman would be inspired by the live-action movies of the 1970s and 80s, led by Christopher Reeve's Superman, according to Tom Ascheim, the then president of Warner Brothers Global Kids, Young Adults, and Classics. He said that the show is inspired by the Christopher Reeve story. Thus, it's a romantic comedy, and Lois and Clark, as well as Jimmy Olsen, are basically recent college grads. They've just arrived at the Daily Planet. They're dealing with the same things that everyone did in their early 20s. However, on top of being a superhero narrative, there is a lot of romance. Clark is still fresh to his talents in this rendition. Therefore, it's also a coming-of-age narrative for all the characters involved. Justice League X RWBY, Superheroes and Huntsmen, Part 1. Part 1 of Justice League X RWBY, Superheroes and Huntsmen, often known as RWBY Justice League, is a forthcoming animated direct-to-video film based on the same-named books. The narrative centers around Batman, Cyborg, Flash, Green Lantern, Superman, Vixen, and Wonder Woman, all of whom have been whisked to the alien realm of Remnant, where they have been transformed into teens. While there, Remnant superheroes Blake, RWBY, Vice, and Yang have to team up alongside the iconic Justice League and figure out why their world has been strangely changed before a powerful Grimm ruins their worlds. The film, directed by Kerry Shawcross and scripted by Megan Fitzmartin, is developed by DC Comics, Rooster Teeth, and released by Warner Brothers. This endeavor will predictably involve collaboration with the Rooster Teeth protagonists RWBY. These protagonists previously encountered the Justice League in the RWBY X Justice League graphic series of novels published in 2021-22. Chandler Riggs will play Superman, while Nat Wolff will play Batman, and Natalie Alyn Lind will play Wonder Woman. Justice League X RWBY, Superheroes and Huntsmen, Part 1 will be released in spring 2023 on digital, 4K Ultra HD, and Blu-ray. According to the synopsis, the film isn't going to be a one-to-one recreation of the comics. Instead, it'll put a new twist on the crossover premise. For example, the story detail of the Justice League getting transferred to the RWBY realm was not included in the comic. Instead, the story takes place in a parallel version of RWBY chronology, in which copies of the DC heroes already exist. The film also features former Suicide Squad teammate Vixen as a significant character, presumably in place of Aquaman. It remains to be seen if RWBY's version of Starro the Conqueror from DC will be the primary antagonist of the story, or whether our heroes will face a new foe.
Did you get him? Really? Why don't you just mail me the bullet?
With Man of Steel, Warner Brothers had debuted their own comic book-inspired movie world in 2013. Ever since, the DC Extended Universe enjoyed a reasonably successful box office run, consisting of 11 films, with 4 more slated to be released next year. Despite this, the movies have been mired down by backstage controversy and have frequently failed to connect with spectators. With Warner Brothers just stating that James Gunn shall take charge of DC Studios, it was heavily implied that the existing iteration of the DCEU would be phased out. From cast shifts to director changes and more, there's a lot of excitement in the DCEU about what's ahead, and hopefully, these upcoming releases will address our most significant worries concerning our favorite franchises. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
I was just about to do that!
Task Force X. Your new mission is to kill the Justice League.